Hey everybody, Coach Duality here with another 2v2 analysis, and this time we're here with Cymeth, so let's go ahead and get things started. So he's gonna miss this because of the hesitation. He should have been up a good bit earlier for this, especially since he is coming from farther away than his opponents. They are choked up enough to where he can definitely beat them to the ball, but he would have to get at it much sooner. He's also missing that because he's dodging. Really doesn't need to be dodging at all into that. Just wants to double jump in, push his car into that ball. Good turn. The side dodge isn't going to give him the power he needs there. He gets this good chip shot, but if we slow this down, he's just nudging the front of his car and sort of rolling it on the bottom. He needs to be getting a lot more power and just dodging through the underside of that ball. So he finds himself choked up here. This touch is too far away from him, especially if he doesn't have boost, so he wants to make sure that he's trapping that a little bit slower against the edge of his car when he's trying to do that. Always try to think one step ahead about how you're gonna be able to play the ball after. A little late to be dodging for that there. Really, you don't want to be dodging into this. You can use your boost to, boost and a jump to knock that into the corner and then be able to play it. But because you're dodging, you're throwing your car too far forward ahead of it. And there, when you go to do your dodge, you're already too far ahead of the ball. Also, when you're going back here, make sure you're being aware of where your teammate is so you know if he's turning into it or not. So you're leaving this ball cam on for too long without checking for your teammate there. Creeping up a bit too far, they're actually not going to get punished. So your teammate's pretty far up the pitch here. At this point, before I would go up any farther, I'd be checking to see where this ball is going. So that little movement there is putting you not only farther away from the net, but in the opposite direction of the ball. So when you're that last man back, make sure that you're completely understanding how the ball is going to be played from your opponent, since they're going to be the next one to touch it there. Don't commit yourself too far away from the net. Touching that ball from too far on the inside there. So initially, in this situation, you shouldn't be traveling along this side here. You want to be going wider originally. So basically, you see here, you know your teammate's in net coming towards it. So he's going to be pushing onto the side that you're currently on right now. So you need to make sure that you're covering up his spot adequately by just immediately rotating into his spot wider here. You're spending way too much time moving towards this corner before you're turning around. And because you find yourself on that wall, and then you're too far ahead of the ball for the touch. There, you shouldn't be going into the corner there. Your teammate's the next one to touch that ball. Try not to cut him off, especially in the corner. That's such a dangerous spot to be overcommitting in. So whenever you're rotating, make sure, especially because you're rotating behind your teammate, so you should have much more awareness than him. So it's important that you are using that to your advantage and allowing him to push up as he sees necessary. There, you just have too much forward momentum while you're going for that shot. throwing you past it. So that dodge is going to be throwing that away from you here. Your teammate shouldn't be creeping that far up under you. So here you should just be playing that ball on top of your car. So you're leaving that go, and then the Daro is running away from that. Hijacker does look like he's going to be coming to punish you. But you should be recognizing here that you do have some space, so you want to wait a little bit before you're sending that ball away from your car. Try to bait them in a little bit longer. Even though he is challenging that, if you just played it with your car and just pushed it over to the side, it would have threw him out, and then you could have played it in for an easy goal. So your teammate should be challenging that. You want to get in a spot to follow it up. So initially here, I don't 100% disagree with this, but you want to be initially moving a little bit more towards the mid. In case he does bait the other defender out there, you want to make sure that you're close enough to play that into their nets. Here you're basically relying on Hijacker clearing that into the corner. So if your teammate does get a good pass, it would be useless. You can still adjust to the clear by just moving back over if you go to the mid in the first place. A little late on the challenge. Lucky your teammate is still going to be able to get that, but it looks like that's going right back to enemy hands. But he does still get control of it here. This touch is a little off. So you need to make sure that you're getting up higher earlier, so that way you're getting more of a forward push on this, so you can lean into it. The longer you wait, the more your car's going to have to be pointed up like that. And it's because you're still pointed straight up when you make contact that you're just like popping that up again, when really you want to get up earlier and then point your car forward when you make contact with the ball, because that's how you're going to get the most force on the shot. There, you're taking your line too far ahead of the ball there. You don't have, I mean, like, you can rush if you know what you're doing, but you want to make sure that you're taking a line behind the ball. You're trying too hard to, like, cut, like, into the ball where it is, but really you just want to make sure that you're still behind it, so when you do make your touch, it is going towards, their net, or just in a position for you to follow it up a little bit easier. That's close. You should have had a lot more power on this. You're dodging too early there. You want to wait a little bit longer. Just waiting till you're making contact with the ball, so that when you do dodge, all of the additional momentum from the dodge is thrown directly into the ball. This is a rough situation here. Really, if, like, while you're going back, you should know that your teammate is back there, and you should always be letting him go for that. The type of save you're going for there is if you're the last man back. You don't want to, like, choke up your teammate like that. You just have to trust him to make that save. Because even if you do get that, you're both overcommitted at that point. So here you're driving too far in front of the ball before you make your touch, and when you're looking at replays like this, it's important to slow this down so you understand everything at its most basic concept, like really what's going wrong here. And you're pointing your car away from this ball too much here. You need to make sure that you're turning tighter so that when you dodge into it, you're playing it forward into the net. You're cutting way too far behind the ball and just like softly playing it over. Good bump there. I think that might have been a little too hard from the bump. No, you actually did just hit that too powerfully over. You want to make, because when you're touching this, you're going to be playing it straight across, so you want to make sure it's still landing in a spot for your teammates to play it out, or like into the net there. So if you send it too far straight across, then there's nothing your teammate can really do with that there. At least not with how far back he was. Kind of a unnecessary pass back there. Your teammate had time to be playing it, so you don't need to rush that ball to him. You're just really going to throw him off more than anything. Yeah, that's too much hesitation. You're basically asking them to take that from you. When that ball's that far over you and you don't have boost, just call your teammate onto that and get out of there. There's almost nothing you can do with that. Unless the opponent was like already closer and you can get a 50-50, but... So this line here, you're going towards the wall. It's kind of a hard bounce to read from there. You might not expecting it to be going out like that. But that's why you might just want to wait a little bit longer for it to come to you. Unfortunate. So if we try to look back here, Yoshi's pass was good, but this soft touch is being played right into them. So here, you have to recognize that any sort of touch you make in this is going to be like a risky 50-50. So you want to make sure that you're getting a little bit more power into it here. Because you're playing it softly like that, if they get any touch, just like he does, he's playing it straight into the middle of the pitch. So try to keep the ball towards the wall there. So even if they do get a 50-50, the initial bounce will be a little bit less comfortable for them to follow up straight into the net. So thanks for sending this in. Be sure to leave a like if this helped you out at all, and I will see you guys around. Thanks.